Thank you all for joining me again today. It's wonderful to be back with all of you. We are nearing the close of the semester and entering the finals period. In these remaining days of the fall semester, we are focused on a few issues on our campuses, including our spring public health guidelines and the emergence of a new variant of COVID-19 named the Omicron variant. Let me begin with a few updates, and then I'll be joined by Dr. Ranit Mishori, our Chief Public Health Officer, to provide some context on what we know about this new variant. So first, a few brief updates. Following the Thanksgiving holiday weekend, we have asked our community to take a COVID-19 test at one of the free testing sites on our campuses. Second, we are encouraging everyone in our community to receive a COVID-19 booster shot. On November 29th, the CDC strengthened their recommendation regarding booster doses for the COVID-19 vaccine. They are now recommending that everyone 18 and older receive a COVID-19 booster 6 months after their Pfizer-BioNTech or Moderna vaccination series, or 2 months after their Johnson & Johnson vaccine. You can choose the booster that you wish to receive, depending on which is available to you, regardless of your original type of COVID-19 vaccination. This past week, on Friday and Saturday, we held 2 booster clinics for our community with 2,000 appointments for members of our community to receive their COVID-19 booster shot. I wish to thank Dr. Ranit Mishori and our public health team and our many volunteers for supporting this clinic. Turning now to our third update, our spring public health protocols. On Monday of last week, we announced our public health program for the spring. Our public health program is based on a layered public health approach. The specific approaches to each element are shaped by the guidelines of the CDC and the DC Department of Health. During the fall, our public health program allowed us to keep a very low positivity rate of COVID-19 cases throughout the semester and to provide support to members of our community who received a positive test result. For the spring, we have announced that courses will be taught in person with limited exceptions. Our vaccination requirement mandates that all members of our community on our campuses are required to be fully vaccinated or have a medical or religious exemption. We are maintaining our indoor mask requirement. We will be conducting arrival testing. Everyone returning to our campuses will be asked to take a COVID-19 test upon arrival. Students should test within 72 hours of their first spring semester class, or they can test on the same day as their first class. We are maintaining our visitor and event protocols, requiring vaccination for guests on our campuses. And our community should continue to monitor their symptoms and should use our COVID-19 symptom check-in survey in order to indicate any symptoms and to receive support from our Care Navigator team. These are just a few of the elements of our layered public health approach, which also includes good ventilation, isolation and quarantine protocols, and contact tracing. Full details of our public health program are available on our COVID-19 Resource Center website. I now wish to turn to the fourth issue we've been focused on in recent days, the new Omicron variant. And I've invited Dr. Ranit Mishori, our Chief Public Health Officer, to join me to talk about the emergence of this new variant.
Dr. Mishori, thank you for being here today and for all that you are doing for the health and safety of our community. Let's jump right in. In recent days, we have seen the emergence of a new variant of COVID-19, the Omicron variant. First detected by scientists in South Africa, the Omicron variant has also been identified in countries throughout Europe, and we now have cases here in the United States. I'd like to begin by asking you, how is a new variant detected? How do we know we are encountering a new strain of COVID-19?
Yeah, that's a wonderful question, and it's very complicated scientifically. But one thing to remember is that all viruses mutate. They do that constantly, and it's not just the coronavirus, but all viruses. This is completely expected. But what scientists are doing is they are looking at samples of positive tests, at positive viruses that were infecting other people, and constantly checking the genome. It's a process that's called genomic sequencing, and it's a specialized process that looks at the genetic makeup of the virus. And they look at specific regions of the virus, for example, the part of the virus that attaches to a human cell. And that's how they discovered mutations. Mutations occur all the time, but a combination of mutations may create a new variant, especially if those mutations occur at sites on the virus that can confer new characteristics to the virus.
The World Health Organization has designated the Omicron variant as a variant of concern. This is an indication that the Omicron variant may have characteristics that are more serious than pre-existing variants, or that it may impact our public health approaches. I know there are a number of issues being studied. How transmissible this strain may be, whether it causes more serious disease, whether it can evade immunity, whether our tests can detect it, and how effective our current medical treatments are against it. There's still a great deal we need to learn about this new variant. Could you walk us through each of these elements? And I'd like to ask you what we know right now and what questions still remain about this new variant. So let's begin with transmissibility. Why is transmissibility important to pay attention to when it comes to new variants? What do we know so far about this variant, and how easily it might spread?
So, transmissibility is one of the most important issues that we're looking at. And if the virus can be transmitted more easily and effectively, that means that more people will be infected, more potentially will get sick, more will get very sick, some more can get hospitalized and die. So, transmissibility or contagiousness is what drives the waves that we see. So, the more transmissible a virus is, the more concerned we are of an additional wave, in this case, a fifth wave or a sixth wave.
Got it. Now, vaccination is a key element of protection. We know that no vaccine provides 100% protection. What should we be looking for when it comes to immunity against this new Omicron variant? How will we know if immunity is being evaded?
So there's still a lot of information that we don't have that includes transmissibility and all the other factors that you mentioned. And we hope to have that information in the next couple of weeks. One of the key issues, again, is how effective the various vaccines are against this variant. And the presumption is that they may continue to offer protection, but perhaps a little less than with the Delta or the Alpha variants. But they're still supposed to be very effective in preventing severe disease and preventing hospitalizations and death. And I think we'll have a lot more information in the coming weeks.
Got it. Now, we use PCR testing, the gold standard in COVID-19 testing, to detect COVID-19 infections. What are we seeing when it comes to testing for the Omicron variant?
So it appears that the PCR testing, including the type that we have here at Georgetown that we use for our tests, are able to detect the Omicron variant quite well. There's some evidence that there might be a marker or a telltale sign that can suggest that something might be Omicron, and it's called the dropped S gene. And that can be detected or seen initially on the PCR testing. Of course, in order to verify it, we still have to go through genomic sequencing, but it could offer us a marker. And we're monitoring all of our tests. Everybody's doing that all over the country, all over the world, and we'll see what happens once we sequence those samples.
And Ranit, how do we actually do the sequencing?
The sequencing is a very, very sophisticated mechanism that is done in specialized labs. So in DC, it's done in a specialized public health lab, or it's done in an NIH lab. It has it really goes into the very, very genetic level, the cellular level of the virus, and requires very sophisticated machines.
Got it. Now, we've seen a rise in COVID-19 related hospitalizations in Europe in recent weeks. Over the past few days in the United States, we're beginning to see a rise in hospitalizations here. We're up 20% from our low point in early November. We know that the dominant variant in the United States, the Delta variant, continues to impact our communities, particularly those individuals who are unvaccinated. As we see the emergence of the Omicron variant here in the United States, do we know anything yet about the severity of the disease compared with other variants?
So I'm going to sound like a broken record and say we don't have enough data just yet, and we're hoping to get it in the next few weeks. Of course, everybody around the world is looking at that. But from the very little information that we have from South Africa primarily and from the Netherlands and some countries where it was detected over the last couple of weeks, there seems to be information that suggests that those who are infected with Omicron and are fully vaccinated, their infection is very mild, but there's more data to be collected and we'll be smarter in a couple of weeks.
Now, over the past year, we have seen the development of treatments against COVID-19 that are very effective in lessening the severity of the disease. Are there indicators yet about how these treatments, such as monoclonal antibodies and antiviral pills, work against the Omicron variant?
Again, only time will tell, but scientists around the world are looking at these questions, and they're doing what's called neutralization studies to see how effective treatments or vaccinations are in, so to speak, neutralizing the variant. But we'll have more information in the coming weeks.
Okay. I just described a moment ago, we've recently announced our spring public health protocols. We'll be monitoring all of these issues we just discussed regarding the Omicron variant over these next few weeks. And we'll be reviewing any announcements from the CDC and our local health department, the DC Department of Health. Ranit, for our community now, as we approach the holiday season, what should we be doing to ensure we are prepared for this new phase of the pandemic?
I would say increased and enhanced vigilance at this point. If you have any symptoms, if you're concerned, if you've traveled, anyone around you is sick, absolutely make sure you get tested. Maybe more testing is necessary on the population level. Of course, also the same old non-pharmacological interventions like consistent indoor masking, distancing, ventilation, considering the necessity of travel during the holiday, considering whether you're attending high density events or large gatherings. And then maybe don't sit on Santa's lap this year. You'll have to wait for another year. And then lastly, of course, I think very importantly, make sure that you are fully vaccinated and boosted as soon as you can.
Well, Ranit, thank you so much for sharing your insights and for all of your efforts to support the health and safety of our community throughout this past semester, throughout this pandemic. And our public health program has enabled the return of our community to our campuses. And we could not be more grateful for your leadership and the dedication of our entire public health team. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate being here.
I wish all of you the very best as we move into final exams and closing activities for this fall semester. And I look forward to being with all of you again next week. Take care of yourselves and take care of everyone around you. For every Hoya, everywhere.